All right, let's dive in. Today, we're taking a slightly different tack, doing a deep dive, but looking backwards a bit.
Right, backwards.
Specifically, we're exploring why someone, especially a tech reviewer, might still have this genuine affection for a smartphone that's actually 6 years old now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, 6 years in phone tech, that's practically ancient history, isn't it?
It really is. Phones usually feel dated way faster.
So yeah, when someone who sees all the new stuff still likes an old phone,
Yeah.
you gotta wonder, well, why?
And that's basically our mission for this deep dive. We're getting into the head of this one reviewer, Stephen Radokia, over at Android Police. He's still got a thing for the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus White.
Right, the Note 10 Plus Y, and he called it sweet and sour, which is a pretty interesting description for a phone from back in 2019.
Sweet and sour. Yeah, that definitely makes you lean in, doesn't it? So we're going to unpack the main reasons he gives, like pulling directly from his write-up. What exactly about the Note 10 Plus does he think really lasted?
And exploring that perspective, it might actually tell us quite a bit about what makes a phone, last, like beyond the specs on launch day.
Yeah.
Some design choices, some hardware. Maybe they held up better than expected.
Okay, let's get into it. The Note 10 Plus E launched 2019. Now, he kind of sees the Note 9 as the, quote, last true Note,
Uh-huh.
but he felt this Note 10 Plus was sort of perfect combination. It pulled elements from the sleeker S10 Plus and mixed it with that Note 9 feel.
And that blend is interesting, right? Because
Yeah.
it clearly hit some kind of sweet spot for him. It wasn't just like the next iteration. It was combining flagship stuff, and it just worked for him design-wise.
Speaking of design, he says it still feels really premium, like even today.
Wow, really? After 6 years?
Yeah. He points to the material's Gorilla Glass 6 front and back, that aluminum frame. He reckons that combo still gives it a high-end feel that, doesn't feel out of place next to current phones.
So that build quality was key. It means it didn't just feel cheap or like physically fall apart after a few years. That adds a lot to its staying power, I guess.
Okay, and here's where it gets really specific to user experience, ergonomics. He really honed in on the button placement, volume, and power, both on the left side
Oh yeah, I remember that layout.
and, crucially, the S Pen slot, bottom right corner. He flat out called this ergonomic perfection if you're right-handed.
That's fascinating because, little details like that can stick with you. He mentioned Samsung moved the S Pen later, right, for bigger cameras or something.
Exactly.
But he still wishes it was back there. That really shows a trade-off, doesn't it? They gained camera space, maybe, but lost something in pure usability that this reviewer at least really valued and still thinks about.
Totally. That S Pen spot felt so,
Yeah.
Okay, moving inside. The chip was the Snapdragon 855. How's that holding up, according to him?
He called it old but good, which honestly is pretty high praise for a 6-year-old mobile chip.
Yeah, definitely.
He was impressed it was strong for its time, sure, but also how energy efficient it was, especially given how thin the phone was. He felt the 855 helped keep it from, cooking itself over time, less overheating.
Right. But paired with that chip was something he thinks is maybe even more important for phones lasting this long.
Ah, the RAM, let me guess.
Yep. 12 gigabytes of RAM.
Okay, yeah. That was a lot back then.
And this is a key point he makes. He basically says anyone who claims lots of RAM doesn't matter clearly isn't keeping their phone for 5 or 6 years.
Interesting argument.
His take is, as the phone gets older, software gets heavier, you need that extra RAM to keep things smooth, to juggle apps without everything grinding to a halt. He even compared it to today's chips, saying, yeah, the latest Snapdragon is fast now, but wait 6 years, you'll probably wish you had more RAM then, too.
That really does shift the focus, doesn't it? It's not just about speed on day one, but about usability headroom down the line. Okay, what about cameras? On paper, the specs weren't, earth-shattering even then. 12MP main, 12MP zoom, 16MP ultra-wide.
Right, he wasn't blown away by the specs initially, but then he kept seeing the Note 10 Plus winning these, blind photo tests on YouTube against way newer phones.
Ah, the blind tests. Those can be revealing.
So he tried it himself.
And he was, quote, blown away, even though he usually preferred the look from Google's Pixels at the time.
Wow.
He found the Note 10 Plus shots were sharp, vivid in good light, and actually pretty decent in low light, too, recalling the S10 Plus was also good at night shots back then.
So surprisingly good results in practice.
Yeah, even now, he says you can get beautiful images in good light without tons of editing. It kind of suggests the processing or the sensor quality was just really well tuned back then, maybe better than the raw numbers implied. It held up surprisingly well.
Okay, let's talk display. He called this the feature that has, quote, not aged at all. The screen. That 6.8-inch QHD panel.
Yeah. Samsung displays are usually pretty strong.
He just described it as beautiful, said it looks as sharp and vibrant today as it did 6 years ago when it was new.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, tech moves on refresh rates, brightness.
True, newer phones might be technically brighter or faster refresh rates, yeah. But he finds the actual look of it, the saturation, the clarity is still hard to beat. Great for media, gaming, whatever, doesn't feel old. And the size, 6.8 inches, is basically standard flagship size now anyway.
So that core component, the screen quality, really delivered an enduring experience for him.
Okay, last big piece.
Mm-hmm.
Software, 6 years on, it got updated to One UI 4, which is Samsung's layer on top of Android 12. How's that holding up?
He was actually pretty positive about this. He specifically said that while he hated Android 12 on some other phones, Samsung did a great job with One UI 4 on the Note 10 Plus phone.
Okay, so the implementation was good.
Yeah, he found it smooth and reliable, even running it now in 2025. And pointed out, most apps still support Android 12, so you're not really locked out of much yet.
Right, compatibility is still there.
He even pushed back on the old Samsung software is bloated thing, praised the Samsung browser, called it the best ever, and told people to try it. His verdict was basically, software was good then, and it's still good now.
So if you put all those pieces together, it sounds like his affection comes from that whole package, right?
Pretty much. That mix of durable premium design that felt right in his hand.
The ergonomics.
Then the performance lasting surprisingly well, mostly thanks to that Snapdragon 855 plus that crucial 12 GB of RAM.
Right, the RAM being key.
Then the camera's turning out better than expected, that display just not aging, and software that stayed smooth and usable. It all just clicked for him and kept clicking.
So his wrap-up wasn't necessarily go buy one now.
No, not really.
Yeah.
He said if you already own one, yeah, keep using it. There's no major reason not to, in his view.
Or maybe as a backup phone.
Or, yeah, if you're just curious, picking one up cheap as a secondary device could be interesting just to see what he felt was such a well-rounded phone.
And he did mention looking ahead, didn't he? Something about future designs.
Yeah, he mentioned some rumors about a potential Galaxy S25 Edge, making him hopeful Samsung might be returning to powerful smartphones with beautiful designs.
Which kind of brings us to his final point, and it's a really interesting one. He mentioned Samsung pushing Galaxy AI as the next big thing.
Right.
But he basically said, I don't care about that.
Huh. Okay.
What he'd be more interested in, he said, is just Samsung making a durable smartphone again.
That really makes you think, doesn't it, that sentiment? It kind of forces you, the listener, to consider what you really value in a phone over the long term.
And yeah, that brings us nicely to the end of this deep dive. We've kind of walked through this one reviewer's perspective on why a 6-year-old phone, the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus S, still resonates with him.
Yeah, we touched on that design blend he likes.
The perfect combination.
How the premium build quality held up those specific ergonomic bits like the S Pen slot.
Which he still misses.
Right. And the performance longevity, the 855 chip, doing okay, but really boosted by what he saw as that vital 12 gigs of RAM for using it years later.
And the cameras punching above their weight, the photos that blew him away.
Plus that display, still looking beautiful, and the software experience on One UI 4 staying smooth and compatible.
So all these points from his experience, they offer a really interesting counter-narrative, don't they, to the idea that only the absolute latest tech matters. It shows what can make a phone feel good, feel satisfying, way beyond its launch year.
Absolutely, and it backs up his final take. Still great for owners, maybe an interesting backup for others.
Which leaves us and you with that final thought to chew on, straight from his perspective. He seemed to value things like durability, solid design, core usability, maybe more than the absolute cutting-edge features like Galaxy AI that manufacturers push.
Yeah.
So think about it. For you, what aspects make a phone stay useful and enjoyable years down the line? Is it that long-term durability and thoughtful design, or is it always chasing the newest innovations? Where do your priorities lie?